The Manhattan grand jury's move late today, unprecedented, handing criminal charges to a former president, Donald Trump. The indictment, a political earthquake.
It's enormously historic, unprecedented to have a former president and a leading presidential candidate facing an indictment.
Trump was indicted for his role in allegedly approving an illegal hush money payment to adult star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. Daniels, whose real name is Stephanie Clifford, alleged in a 60 Minutes interview that she'd had an affair with Trump in 2006, just months after his wife Melania had given birth to their son Barron.
Did he mention his wife or child at all in this?
I asked, and he brushed it aside, said, oh, yeah, don't worry about that. We have separate rooms and stuff.
It was a payment Trump initially said he knew nothing about.
Did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels?
But Michael Cohen, the former president's one-time fixer and lawyer, testified that he made the payment to Daniels at Trump's direction to silence her before the election. Trump's legal team now acknowledges the payment but says Trump was trying to protect his family, not his campaign. Trump maintains he didn't have an affair with Daniels and that he did nothing wrong.
The heart of this case is this $130,000 in hush money payments made to Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. And actually, hush money payments standing alone are not illegal. But what is illegal is falsifying business records.
From the beginning, it's been one witch hunt and phony investigation after another.
Tonight, the former president, now running for re-election, called his indictment political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. For weeks, security has been stepped up in New York City, and now all NYPD officers have been ordered to report for duty at 7 a.m. sharp for deployment across the city. The anticipation of an indictment dividing the country.
It's all a witch hunt. They're just trying to find a way to bring him down, and he's going to prevail.
Trump's awesome, and our country is in dire need of him back.
It makes me support him more because it's a witch hunt.
Ever since Trump first predicted he'd be indicted, he's been defiant, including at his first official campaign rally in Waco, Texas last weekend.
The District Attorney of New York, under the auspices and direction of the Department of Injustice in Washington, D.C., was investigating me for something that is not a crime, not a misdemeanor, not an affair.
The possibility of the indictment sparking security concerns at courthouses and the office of District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who received a death threat and a letter with white powder addressed to him. And as the grand jury continued to meet, Trump urged his supporters to protest, warning death and destruction if he were to be indicted. His words sparking condemnation from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
It's dangerous, and if he keeps it up, he's going to get someone killed.
The grand jury began convening in January and has heard testimony from a variety of people, including members of his administration's inner circle, Hope Hicks and Kellyanne Conway. Stormy Daniels also meeting with prosecutors as the probe wrapped up. The adult film actress reacting to the indictment news, tweeting, "Thank you to everyone for your support and love. I have so many messages coming in that I can't respond. Also, don't want to spill my champagne." Trump declined the Manhattan District Attorney's offer to testify, but many calling an indictment an overreach, a case that two previous Manhattan DAs declined to prosecute.
Alvin Bragg has failed miserably, and all of a sudden he wants to get tough on Donald Trump.
Today's indictment adding to a litany of legal woes and other potential criminal charges the former president is facing.
This has nothing to do with the potentially more serious allegations that are coming out of an investigation in Georgia to try to overturn the election, the investigation by the special counsel over the January 6th and the aftermath, as well as the investigation of the handling of classified documents. All of those could carry penalties, could carry allegations that are far more serious than we're talking about in this instance.
Trump repeatedly denying any wrongdoing in all the investigations, but today's indictment now possibly throwing a curveball into his 2024 presidential ambitions. Former Trump allies and fellow Republicans speaking out. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy tweeting, "Alvin Bragg has irreparably damaged our country in an attempt to interfere in our presidential election." Going on to say the House of Representatives will hold Alvin Bragg and his unprecedented abuse of power to account. His former vice president calling the indictment an outrage earlier tonight on CNN.
I think this is an outrage, but I also think at a time when the American people are struggling so much that this will only further serve to divide our country.
I don't know what goes into paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. I can't speak to that.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer saying tonight Trump is subject to the same laws as every American and encouraging the process to proceed peacefully. The key to Donald Trump's indictment today, Michael Cohen.
This is not revenge, right? What this is about accountability. He needs to be held accountable for his dirty deeds.
Cohen's testimony serving as a linchpin of evidence for prosecutors. Cohen standing by his testimony. In a statement to ABC News tonight, I take no pride in issuing this statement. However, I do take solace in validating the adage that no one is above the law, not even a former president. Once Stormy Daniels alleged she'd been paid hush money by Michael Cohen just weeks ahead of the 2016 election, all eyes turned to Cohen.
First of all, nothing at the Trump Organization was ever done unless it was run through Mr. Trump.
In July 2018, Trump's former power player first broke his silence to ABC News, months after the FBI raided his office and home, seizing a trove of documents, including a payment to Stormy Daniels.
He directed me to make the payments. He directed me to become involved in these matters. I gave loyalty to someone who truthfully does not deserve loyalty.
He was trying to hide what you were doing, correct?
Correct.
And he knew it was wrong?
Of course.
So you're done with the lying?
I am done with the lying. I am done being loyal to President Trump. And my first loyalty belongs to my wife, my daughter, my son, and this country.
If convicted of the hush money charges, the 2024 hopeful may face a maximum sentence of 4 years.
If, incarceration were ever on the table, I think it's quite down the road if in fact that is ever a live possibility. But there too, it wouldn't disable him from running for president, even from jail or prison. But obviously there would be substantial logistical complexities that such developments might create. But legally, this has really, truly no bearing on his ability to run for president.
We don't know exactly what the charge is yet, but presuming that this is a felony, as indications would be, yes, there's the possibility of prison time. Now, even if, hypothetically, a candidate were behind bars, he or she could still run for president.
But time in prison may not be mandatory, and something Cohen does not wish upon his former friend and president.
I don't want to see anyone, including Donald Trump, indicted, prosecuted, convicted, incarcerated, simply because I fundamentally disagree with them.
There's no way around the fact that we're in a divided country that just got a little more divided as a result of this, in all likelihood. You're going to see people break down around party lines as to whether they think this is an appropriate prosecution or not, whether they think Trump is guilty of this, whether they think he should go to prison over it, whether they think he should be eligible to run for office again.
And joining us now, John Santucci. You've covered President Trump, both the campaigns and the administration. You spoke with him late today. What did he have to say?
I spoke to him right after news of that indictment, Juju. He called it political persecution, said it's an attack on our country, said they are trying to impact an election. Obviously, the election he's referring to, 2024. I then asked the former president, do you plan to come to New York? Do you plan to turn yourself in? He said, take care of yourself, John. And he hung up on me.
That's an excellent end to that conversation. And yet, his lawyers have told us that he is expected to turn himself in on Tuesday. How do you think that'll play out? And yet, this is also not the only potential criminal charge that he's facing.
It's not the only one. So let's start with New York. He is absolutely planning to come. Though he doesn't want to be in court, he's going to take every political bona fide he believes comes with it. As one aide said to me, do they release the mugshot? We want to print that on a T-shirt and add it to our campaign roster. As far as the other cases are concerned, because you're right, there are several. Obviously, New York, first one out of the gate. We have another case that's been ongoing in Fulton County, Georgia. This is looking into what he calls, Donald Trump calls, that perfect phone call with Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State there. That is a case that right now we're waiting to see what charges will come out. They've obviously had a special grand jury that's produced a report that said several indictments were recommended. Don't know who. Next one is obviously up in D.C., a two-prong. DOJ's looking at those documents that went to Mar-a-Lago and looking at January 6th. Those two happening behind closed doors. A lot of Trump folks heading in. waiting to see what happens next.
John Santucci, as always, thanks for your insights.
Thanks, Juju.
And stay with us. We'll be back with the roundtable discussion.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.